Hello everyone, welcome along to the World Centre of Speed, the iconic Daytona International Speedway for round 9 of season 4 of the IMB World Series GT3 Championship USA. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, welcoming you all along for what is going to be my last commentary of the 2022 season, but also there's still one more round to go on this fantastic circuit that has significant banking, especially oval turns being 31 degrees. I have to welcome along someone else alongside me in the commentary box, and it's good to be back and reunited with my good friend, Mr. David Christie. Hello, David.
Hello. A very good evening. Yeah, it's been lonely over here the past couple of weeks, but my God, we've had loads of fun. But you've missed an absolute treat over here for the IMB World Series, Alex. It's been an incredible championship. So much still to go tonight, and I suppose what better way to bring you up to speed than to show you some of these championship standings.
Yeah, and it looks like the titles could go down to the wire because Harry Wills now has a full-on battle with the likes of Dean Timms, who had his unbeaten streak broken earlier on in the season. It's just 23 points between them, but you can't count out the likes of maybe Ryan Kaprowski in third place on 586. Battle for fourth is going to be quite intense with the likes of Kai DL, Daniel Tenorio, Dave Meneno. Even Luis Colon could be a factor into that. Paul Busby, Sean Ryan and Kyle Boz round out the top 10 in the pro standing. Then we turn our attention to Pro-Am. Well, the Wilson Racing Lamborghini has been the stalwart this season, with Chase Wilson on 645 playing 613 to the Porsche of Justin Delano. Ashraf El Haddad has come good in the latter part of the season, has had some flashes of moments where it hasn't gone quite his way, but he's still in the hunt for the title. Steven Martinez in fourth, John Traynor in fifth, ahead of Jeremy Littleton, Gary Brown, Eric Kalaga, Chris Long and Justin Riestow rounding out the top 10. And then finally, Braden Melling has a slender 12-point advantage, with Michael Fowler just behind in second position. Rick Swan rounds out the top 3, and John A. Casey, and even Matthew Plaisance, even all with a championship mathematical possibility in the top 5. Daniel Fleuret, Andrew Hewitt, Charles Bushell, Andrew Rasmussen and Ethan Swan complete the top 10. Roxanne Hewitt already says on the YouTube chat, David, just wants to see some good racing and few or no wrecks. Well, we know what Daytona's like, even with the Rolex 24 at Daytona. I mean, this 3.56 mile circuit, 12 turns in all, some of which have been recently renamed, including the Le Mans chicane, formerly known as the bus stop, is really going to test the drivers over 2 races tonight, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and I was lucky enough to obviously be producing the EU version of this race earlier on tonight here, Alex, and I can tell you the biggest change is obviously the brand new physics model, the way that these GT3 cars have been overhauled in that December break there that we were off for a week. We saw lots and lots of incidents, and I've got no doubt we're going to see the same again.
Well, here's the grid for race 1, 25 minutes. It's going to be Harry Wills on pole position for Pro, Kai DL alongside Taylor Lane, Ethan Bass and Dean Timms. Rounding out the top 5, Chase Wilson puts it again on pole position in Pro-Am with Ashraf Al-Haddad alongside him in the 96 Twisted Racing Team entry. Justin Delano and John Traynor complete row 2 with Justin Rustow and Andrew Hewson completing the top 6. Rounding out the 12-strong Pro-Am field, we're going to have Jeremy Littleton, Stephen Martinez, Michael Kalaga, Eric Kalaga rounding out the top 10 with James Nunn and Richard Rosado completing the top 12. Again, another pole position this season for Canada's Braden Melling for the ERS by Skylines design number 8. He's got Michael Fowler from Twisted Racing alongside. Fowler also a race winner this season. Daniel Fleuret and Rick Swan complete the top 2 rows, and it's an 8-car squabble in the AM class with Matthew Plaisance, John Casey, Andrew Hewitt and Charles Bushell rounding out the 8 strong. So we're going to have 25 cars around this 12-turn, 3.56 mile circuit. Current race lap record is run by one Alex Palou back in 2022 with the Cadillac DPI VR, 1 minute 33.7. Our qualifying times are about 10 seconds off of that, but the pace, I think, is going to be absolutely interesting. We're going to have the staggered rolling starts as the Porsche pace car is bringing the Pro class around the ever excessive banking here at Daytona. And David, your thoughts before we go racing for the first 2 races tonight?
Very excited, very, very excited. Just given the fact that our pro field whittling down to just the 5 cars, let that not mistaken you. We have got so many battles that are going to be heading on for tonight. So crucial. Yeah, so the red lights are waiting to be started on the gantry. The pace car pulls into pit road, and it's Wills and DL on the front row in Pro. The red lights on the gantry. They build speed, build pace. Are we ready? Are we steady? The lights are out and the Pro class are underway, and Wills gets an absolute monumental jump on the field heading into T1 before we go into this very tight chicane, heading through in towards the Rodriguez International Horseshoe for the opening time. Very shortly we should be going to the Pro-Am class as they're about to grid up, and now Chase Wilson straight away puts the pedal to the metal, and the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 leads the field into turn 1 and 2. So a good start. Looks like Ashraf Al-Haddad got a very, very even start in his own right. But John Traynor, Justin Delano battling away with Andrew Hewson, who's managed to split the pair going through turns 1 and 2. And then last, but by certainly no means least, we're going to head over to AM with Braden Mailing and Michael Fowler are lining up alongside each other. So it's an even start at the front row. BMW versus Mercedes. BMW might get the jump. Well, Braden Melling definitely got the jump on Michael Fowler on that particular occasion. Might have caught him napping as they thread their way through down into this increasingly tightening turn 1 before they have this very, very significant chicane that can catch people out. We've seen it on multiple events, including the recent VCO Pro Sim Infinity that was 24 races over 24 hours. But Kai DL really closing in on Harry Wills. And this very much could set the tone of what's to come here, David. It really could, but the thing is, we've seen this for the past couple of weeks. Obviously, teammate cars up there in the Pro class, they tend to work together. What you've got to watch is actually the return of Taylor Lane. We've not seen Taylor for a couple of weeks now. They're looking very, very feisty in that brand new car. The other thing as well is the fact that Pro-Am battle, so many different stories going on with that. As you see, round the outside. That is going to be common as well from Harry Wills. Very, very late on onto the brakes. If you go onto that outside line, you are done for.
Yeah, and that was very much the case, that if you outbrake yourself into turns 1 and 2, you are not going to get the run that you need, and it just gave the opportunity to Kai DL to shoot through and get into the lead as he makes his way through into turn 3, the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. So it's DL, Wills, Lane, Bass, and then Timms. Now, Dean Timms, is he still running in the car that I think we saw from him earlier on this season? I think he was in the Porsche, but... well, it was no, it wasn't him. It wasn't Dean Timms. Dean Timms has been in with the BMW all season long, pretty much. But Kai DL leads the way as they make their way through into turn 6 and 7 onto turn 8 and 9. And this is where the banking really tests the drivers. I mean, people say that going through an oval, David, is a bit like turning left all day, but there's a lot more of a skill set that you need, especially in sports car racing.
There absolutely is. It's one of my favourite tracks here. It's the Daytona, obviously, just about a month out from the world famous IMSA Rolex Daytona 24, and it's a very popular event that they host here on iRacing. I absolutely love it, and Harry Wills is done.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh, he just absolutely lost it into the Le Mans chicane. And this new damage model, we're going to see a replay here. Now, this is Ethan Bass running in the Ford GT, which you don't see very often. But, oh, bit of a twitch, snap on oversteer, and he nearly collects Taylor Lane in the process. So Harry Wills got the biggest get-out-of-jail-free card. And thank goodness he wasn't in the Florida maximum security prison after that one.
Good Lord, that was so close to a murder-death kill right there on the back straight there. But as you say, gets away with it.
You're quoting Demolition Man 187 there, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Good lads. That's what we want to see.
There you go.
Yeah, very, very lucky there. But John Traynor fighting it out with Justin Delano and Justin Rustow. Now, the other thing that we saw all the way through the EU race tonight here, Alex, is the fact that you'll see some cars deciding to help each other out. A little bit of a bump draft there, but that's Justin Delano up the inside there. That also means that Justin Rustow can get that position, and Traynor absolutely mugged there.
Yeah, Delano got the use of the side draft as well, and now Trainor's trying to look up the inside through the Rodriguez International Horseshoe through turn 3. Ristow and Traynor are going to be side by side heading into the dogleg here into turn 4, but Ristow just able to power past and leave the 28 in his wake. Braden Melling has got a gap of just under 0.3 of a second ahead of the number 54 Twisted Racing Mercedes of Michael Fowler. They've left Daniel Florea a little bit in their wake in the exhaust trails, so to speak. But a nice battle starting here at the front of the AM class. But Braden Melling knows that he's going to be up against Michael Fowler all the way through until the end of the season. Don't forget, folks, that the rounds both here at Daytona and Mount Panorama next week, they cannot take dropped scores. So that will be taken into consideration of the first 8 rounds that we've had so far since this series began. An interesting thing, a slightly different line taken there through the international, through the horseshoe there, courtesy of Braden Melling, and that was going through turn 3. Very different how he sweeps the BMW to the outside, whereas Michael Fowler tends to take the more traditional racing line through turn 3.
And that's exactly it. What you'll see over the next 20 minutes as well is how well those different lines tend to work. Now, what we saw earlier on is that quite a lot of drivers actually going for the higher line. It didn't make much sense. If that you watch NASCAR and you see them going high all the time, but then they're running at like 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And the car is forced up. You're not quite going that speed in these cars here. So you want to stay low and keep that car tucked in as tight as possible.
Nice to see the Ford GT making a resurgence in this championship. Ethan Bass currently sitting in second in the Pro class, about 1.3 seconds behind Kai DL. But you can just see that the Porsche able to stretch its legs over the Mercedes. But the good thing is that Ristow's actually keeping Delano very, very honest indeed. So we're now going to just keep our eyes on this battle. I mean, Steven Martinez is really closing in on the back bumper of the Mercedes of John Traynor in 4th place in the classification. So they come out of what is effectively turn 6 and turn 7, and straight away the amount of distance. The number 38 of Ultra Motorsports, Justin Delano, is starting to pull away. And that could be quite crucial. I mean, we know that the Porsche doesn't have the grunt in the straight line like the Mercedes and the Ferrari possibly do. But at this circuit, it seems like Justin Delano's got that Porsche really switched on.
Isn't it fantastic, though, to see the sort of turnaround in the fortunes for a lot of these drivers? It's been a very, very difficult season for a lot of these teams, with Chase Wilson under real pressure right now, by the way, from the likes of... well, no, actually, that gap was a little bit misleading there. It's Justin Delano that's under pressure there from Justin Rustow. But I mean, the thing is that the Porsche is not the car I want to be in right now. From my experience at the weekend, watching how this new Porsche handles with these new GT3 models and things like that, the back end of that thing washes out so very quickly, Alex, and it's quite a scary car to actually be in.
The scary thing is the new damage model that has been put in for Season 1 of 2023. And I saw the iRacing video a little bit earlier on today, and these drivers have really, really got to be on their A games. So, you know, cross the T's, dot the I's. Don't make too many mistakes. And as Harry Wills has found out numerous times this season, he's been on the rough receiving end of some incidents, sometimes not his own fault, but also sometimes self-inflicted.
I'm not saying anything about Harry Wills. I'll end up not being back for the next season of World Series Leagues. Listen, we've spoken at length about Harry and his incredible pace, but the problem is that you need to be able to finish these races, and that's just not what he's able to do at the moment. However, I've got no doubt that he will be able to achieve that quite quickly. However, I want to ask a question, Alex. How the hell has Chase Wilson got a 4.5 second gap already, and we're barely 10 minutes into the race?
That Lambo is absolutely planted. I mean, you can see hardly any suspension travel. As now we head into the battle for Pro-Am. Ashraf El Haddad started on the front row and is now down in 7th position, whilst Michael Kulaga and Michael Kulaga and Jeremy Littleton have just come together. Well, Andrew Houston, my apologies, he's just done a return to garage. Michael Kulaga, the front end of that Ferrari, hit the barrier at a significant amount of sideways speed. But we again concentrate on several other battles. Steven Martinez, John Traynor and Eric Kulaga. Kulaga was possibly looking to thread the eye of the needle in the Lamborghini, but thought better of it. But Martinez trying to keep it round the outside through turn 1, going into the chicane here at turns 1 and 2. Nearly had the run on John Traynor, but the Mercedes just able to pull away. Kai DL, in the meantime, is leading the Pro class and has a 1.2 second gap covering him, Ethan Bass in the 4GT, and also Dean Timms in third. Now, at this particular moment in time, with the way things are looking, David, this could possibly... this will close that gap down to Harry Wills, and Harry Wills has got to be on absolute A game in race 2, because he's going to need those points.
Yeah, he definitely does. The problem is that he's got all that work to do. Obviously, with race 2, you know, he's in a better position because he might be towards the front of the grid. But the problem is that realistically, you don't want to be putting yourself in that position. It's not a case of he's tactically going, yes, I'm going to start at the back of the grid on race 2. Yeah. It's not. He's just pushing the car way too hard. But here comes Ethan Bass.
That Ford has definitely got some grunt on it, and he's definitely gone with the dark purple livery. He's going to hang it around the outside of Kai DL. That's brave if you want to try it going through T1. Is he going to get the undercut? No, he's not, because he was way too far behind. But still, nevertheless, a very, very good showing by the Ford GT. It's a car that really doesn't get much loving here on iRacing anymore. It's a bit like the McLaren MP412C. That we saw a little bit earlier on this season. But good to see that the Blue Oval is showing its muscle here at Daytona.
Yeah, but that's because it was crap. The balance of performance here in iRacing really, really hampered that Ford. It just was not a good car to have at all. And now, magically, with this brand new GT3 balance of performance that they've brought in on this new update, it's back to life. It's back to being competitive. And, you know, you're absolutely right. But I've got to feel so happy for the likes of Ethan Bass, because, you know, how long has he really held and stuck in with that car, and he's now finally getting some sort of reward for actually doing that.
Yeah, very, very much the case. We concentrate back on what is now the battle in the AM class. It is still Braden Melling leading by less than half a second ahead of Michael Fowler. These are the two main protagonists in the AM classification, and with only 12 points separating them, any one of them drops outside of the top 5, that could mean we could have a possible change in the championship lead going into tonight's feature race, which is a 50-minute sprint race with a mandatory pit stop for all competitors. Braden Melling just keeping things nice and tidy at the moment. Ethan Bath going high, wide and handsome. There we go, there's our first NASCAR reference of the evening. And he's still trying to keep it around the outside, but he drifts wide. Oh, that's definitely exceeding track limits. That's going to allow Dean Timms to get through, and the BMW threads the eye of the needle. Justin Ristow and Justin Delano again side by side through the banking. The Porsche versus the Mercedes. Is Ristow going to pull in front? That was a nice little move there from the number 30. Mercedes as they head into turn 1, but whoa! Justin Delano goes Stuttgart sideways and clatters into the barriers. Oh dear. And you know what's happened, David? That damaged model has reared its ugly head because I did not see any movement from the right rear wheel, and that is Justin Delano out of the race.
Yep, that car is absolutely goosed, and I do believe that is the technical term for that one in the old business there. Yeah, that car's done and dusted, unfortunately. So his race is over. 13 minutes out of 25 gone. Here's Braden Melling, though, back to this AM battle. He's got Michael Filer just 0.2 of a second behind him here. Really, really pushing. Those headlights starting to blaze on quickly. And what you'll notice as well, race 2, that's going to be a night race, Alex. So again, colder temperatures, and we know everything about cold temperatures here in the UK right now. Goodness me!
But don't stop.
Yeah, exactly. As I sit with a candle. But the thing is that the track temperatures make an awful lot of difference with this, with these GT3 cars. The grip is almost non-existent.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always a case that as soon as temperatures start to dip, then that is when everyone has to worry about tyre pressure settings, any camber, any caster. I mean, and the funny thing is, you have to look at 2 of the drivers that are leading respective classes, both representing the land of the maple leaf, Canada. So Kai DL and also Braden Melling leading the Pro and the AM classes respectively. And Canada's known for its snow drifts. Some of my friends who live over in those parts sometimes say, well, depending on which part of Canada you're in, you can see sometimes as high as 10 to 20 foot snow drifts. As Eric Kalaga, that was a bit of a Nigel Mansell dummy he just did on John Trainer going into turn 1. Nice move by the Lamborghini, nearly a touch between the two. And Kalaga now gunning for Stephen Martinez up ahead in 3rd place.
Yeah, that was beautiful. He just absolutely stood up Trainer in the middle of that corner as well. Cost him a little bit extra time there. A fantastic defensive driving there, and great to see that position getting switched over. I don't think that's the last we'll have seen of that for some time to come. But here comes Michael Filer then. This is the battle for the AM class lead with just 10 minutes left to go. Is it going to be a move to the inside? I think what we'll see is, again, just from experience, I think Filer will tuck in behind that BMW for the next 5 minutes or so, and then the next 5 minutes it'll be game on.
Yeah, it's very much a strategic chess game, isn't it, when it comes to Daytona, because you never can tell who's going to blink first. But Kai DL still trying to keep ahead of Ethan Bath for the lead in the Pro class. I mean, Harry Wills at the moment, if there were more competitors, he might have been a little bit further down the order, but he's still, having had that Code Brown moment going through the Le Mans chicane at the early start of the race, has managed to keep it on circuit, and that's going to be quite valuable, as I said, with scoring points. But Dean Timms really needs to get a wriggle on, because he'll want to reduce that gap, which at the moment stands at about 23 points between the pair. But then the second race is going to be even more crucial, because that's when you get you get more points, and the lower down the grid you are, the less points you're going to score. So it could give, if Dean Timms, as you said, plays the strategic game of chess over the next 9 minutes, he's going to have an opportunity. If Bath and DL starts battling, which they are starting to do now, because that Ford is looking a little bit quicker than it did earlier on in this race. And Ethan Bass is really closing in on DL. DL's now feeling the pressure. Yeah, Bath was looking to put his nose up the inside going through into turns 6 and 7. Now we ride on board with the iconic Ford GT. And just look at the inside of that car. That's full-on race car, that is. That's full-on America.
That is exactly what you want to have, isn't it? Just like, yeah, all those switches and dials tell you you're in race control. on this one. But here we go, side by side then. Oh, good lord, that was late onto the brakes there from KDL, but he absolutely had the scruff of the neck on that car.
Yeah, he definitely did. I think he's just got a little bit more... I think he's very, very comfortable with that car. I mean, KDL's been using that car pretty much the whole season. The Lamborghini seems to be very, very compliant here at Daytona, but you look at the outside... I mean, Ethan Bass was just pulling around the outside of KDL, and this is going to be... They're going to literally be nip and tuck going into T1. DL's going to get the inside line. Bass is trying not to lose it going into turn 1, keeps it nice and pinned. And look at the difference between the top 3 in the Pro class. This is where it's going to get a little bit even more interesting than we've seen so far this season. 3 cars that cross the line within 0.3 of a second. All of them up for the W. Yep,
and the thing is that I'm almost lost for words. I don't get how fast this blooming Ford is. It's scandalous. I mean, I've never really seen a car pull around the outside here at Daytona, unless it's like an LMP car or something like that. But yeah, he's absolutely going for it. Is Ethan Bass right now, catching on to the back end. This is the problem though, and it's almost a bit of a meme whenever I say this now. The fact that you're caught between a rock and a hard place. You're trying to hunt down that car in front, but then you've got Dean Timms behind you, and if you make a wrong move, Dean Timms is going to be able to collect that all up.
Yeah, he's just going to really just put the car in the right place at the right time. And he's nearly there, but I think he's just going to be a little bit more strategic, because you can't just romp around the outside of someone at 31-degree banking, whereas Rick Swan, and now this is Daniel Fleury. This is the battle for P3 in the AM class. This is getting a bit close and personal. They were, what was that? Less than 4 100ths between the pair of them, so they would have been side by side coming across the start-finish line. So now we go back to the pro battle, and again Ethan Bass now trying the outside run. This is going to be very, very close indeed, but again, is he going to send it? He is going to send it. That's a bit brave. He's going to keep it pinned to the outside. This could open the door for Dean Timms. KDL does a nice little defend there going into T1. You can now see that Ethan Bass is reading KDL, and that of all the places you could put it around the outside of the Rodriguez International Horseshoe, you got to be kidding me. Nearly again opened the door for Dean Timms, but now they've got one of the Olympus racing cars just that they've just gotten past. That probably was Richard Rosado, maybe. But I mean, that you said it. I'm going to echo your sentiments here, David. The absolute amount of waft on that Ford GT is monumentally ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy right now. I mean, you'll get an idea here as we come out. I know the slipstream can be strong for some cars, but this is just absolutely nuts. We didn't see any of the Ford GTs out there earlier on tonight, so this is our first sort of taste of how this is performed. You see not only how fast he's gaining on DL, but how fast he's dropping Dean Timms behind as well as they go down in towards the bus stop, side by side, almost getting thrown into the wall there by DL.
That was brave from Bass, and DL just knew that if he kept where he was, that he'd have the instinctive inside line. But it's now again we're going to keep on board with Ethan Bass, and again the slipstream coming into effect. Now the side draft starts to work. As soon as he gets that left front diagonally opposite to the right rear of KDL, and now he's pulling a car length ahead. He has got him, but there was nearly a little bit of a rub between the pair. That could have been a possible bump to pass by sheer force of will. And Ethan Bass take a bow with just under 4 minutes to go. Takes the lead ahead of KDL. And you know what I think is very, very good? The person that I'm really keeping my eye on in the Procast is Dean Timms. He's the danger man here. And we now head back to the Pro-Ams with Ashraf El Haddad is stuck in a Mercedes and Lamborghini sandwich at the moment. And still is just bump drafting on the back of John Traynor. This is going to get very, very hairy as they head into the braking zone for turn 1. El Haddad looks to the outside into turn 1. Nearly opens the door for Eric Kulaga, who nearly got his nose up the inside of the Porsche, but has to back out of it and waits for another opportunity with just over 3 minutes to go. My goodness.
Absolutely fascinating stuff here as we come into the final stages of this race here. Rafael Haddad, though, you get the feeling that he has got the pace right now, but the problem with that is that he just cannot get by at all. John Traynor doing everything that he possibly can to hold that car up, and it's what you've got to do, because the Porsche is looking mighty fine indeed, especially towards the later stages of this race, and this gives us a lot of clues here towards what we're going to see in race 2. Wow. Round the outside. Are you kidding me? Rafael Haddad just absolutely did John Traynor there. Trainor's going to have the inside line there, but wow, that was a hell of a move there. So the two of them still going side by side, coming round towards the bus stop chicane then. And what an awesome little fight this is. The Porsche has to relinquish that position to the Merc, as we still see Rafael Haddad then chasing down John Traynor. Back with your leaders then. Oh, and there's a huge accident. That's Kai DL and Ethan Bass, the two of them, off at turn 1 then. And you get the feeling that that is going to be contact with each other there. What on earth has happened there? I get the feeling that this is going to have been done on the just after the start-finish line. Good Lord Almighty. That is a heck of an accident, and the two of them off backwards into the wall there, and you hate to see it. Well, they get going again, and Kai DL sent off into the grass again. Well, that car is absolutely goosed, and Kai ended up back into the pits there. Let's go back with this fight then for 9th position, and this is for 5th and 6th. Is up the inside. That was Eric Kulaga, who didn't have a chance in hell of getting that car stopped down the Lamborghini with, I think what we'll politely call that optimistic, I think is the best way to put that one just now. But yeah, that car thankfully gets itself back on the binders and gets round, as we've got just 45 seconds left to go. So I believe that this should be the second to last lap. I think we might squeeze in one more, but we'll certainly find out. Yeah, we'll get another one in for sure. 30 seconds and we're ready to come across the line here. So Dean Timms is in the lead of the race here, and Alex Goldschmidt did call that. Did absolutely say that that was what was going to happen there. Ethan Bass in 2nd place, Taylor Lane in 3rd, with Harry Wills down in 4th position. So this is the final lap of the race then. Chase Wilson ahead of Justin Rustow, but this is the battle for 2nd in Pro-Am right now. You've got Justin Rustow and Steven Martinez, and Martinez has to try and weave out the way there because he's got the 21 getting in his way, and that wasn't pretty at all. That was Charles Bichelle as we head through then. And then let's check in with the AMs as well. Braden Mailing 4.6 seconds ahead of Michael Fowler, so he is in a golden position right now, as Justin Rustow still in this fight here for P2 in the Pro-Ams. Steve Martinez tries to have a look around the West Horseshoe, can't quite make that happen though. And then it's going to be on the part to rejoin the oval here. Beautiful stuff. Gets that car in very nicely indeed. Ethan Bass under real pressure here. We're under the final quarter of a lap here at Daytona for the road course. You can see Dean Timms 6 seconds up the road. Harry Wills having another moment there. He has gone from bad to worse in that car. But it's all about this man here drawing the luck from everywhere he possibly can. Dean Timms comes across the line to win race 1 here at Daytona. Then it's going to be Ethan Bass in 2nd place. Taylor Lane in 3rd. Harry Wills in 4th position. And then it's Kai DL who will not finish this race. But it's going to be Chase Wilson then is going to come across the line to win for the Pro-Ams. Then it is going to be Stephen Martinez ahead of Justin Rustow. Very, very close on the line there, but it is Martinez from Rustow. Then it's Achraf El Haddad, Eric Kulaga, Jeremy Littleton in P6. P7 is going to go to John Traynor and Justin Delano into the pit. So James Nunn several laps down. And there you go. What a race that was. And let's check in with the AM finishers as well. Braden Mailing, Michael Fowler and Daniel Florea. It was a little bit more of a spread out affair for that race. And Braden Mailing comes across the line then to win for the AM class, and that is going to have massive, massive championship implications on that one. Michael Fowler in second place, Daniel Florea in third, and there we go. What a race that was, and you can see some donuts there from Braden Mailing. He is absolutely delighted with that one. Let's check out the results then from that race. And Alex, I'll let you take us through our results here.
Yeah, apologies for that slight technical issue from my side, but it's Dean Timms that wins the first race out of 2 tonight at the Daytona International Speedway by 5.788 seconds from Ethan Bass in the Ford GT. Fiercely forwards, Taylor Lane rounding out the top 3 with Harry Wills finishing in 4th. Kai DL looks like his championship has fallen by the wayside as he ends up 5th. After all of that, Pro-Am, Chase Wilson again takes another further step to having one hand on the championship crown in the Pro-Am class, winning by a comfortable 9 1/4 seconds ahead of Stephen Martinez, pipping Justin Ristow by just half a tenth at the flag. Achraf El Haddad, Eric Kulaga, Jeremy Littleton, John Traynor, Justin Delano, James Nunn and Michael Kulaga rounding at the top 10, with Andrew Hewson and Richard Rosado unfortunately finishing quite a way back. Hewson actually returning to garage in Pro-Am, but in the AM class, Braden Melling now has an opportunity. Looks like he's fractionally extended that championship lead, winning by nearly 5 seconds ahead of chief rival Michael Fowler from Twisted Racing Team. Daniel Florea completes the top 3 ahead of Matthew Plaisance, Rick Swan, Andrew Hewitt, Charles Michel, and John Casey, rounding out the 8-strong AM grid. So, looks like we're going to have our first interviewee of the night, David. And it is, I think it might be our AM class winner, Braden Melling. Congratulations, another W. How are you feeling after that one, mate? It was going to be pretty close, but you ended up taking the W. Well done.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, my heart's racing a little bit after that one. It was it was very close for the first like 3/4 of the race, I think, and then all of a sudden, just Fowler had a moment in turn 1, I think, that just opened up the gap, and yeah, after that was done, it was just not spinning, and I was able to finish in P1 that race.
Yeah, I mean, it has been pretty close between you and Michael up until this point. I mean, it was just a 12-point advantage for yourself coming into this first race, but you know, to have that momentum now underneath your belt going into the feature race, how's your confidence feeling ahead of the 50-minute encounter here at Daytona?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I am still a little bit nervous, just because obviously there was that huge update recently in iRacing that kind of just changed how these GT3 cars feel. So it's just trying to get used to that and also understand how a car is going to behave at certain points in the stint. And what really worries me actually is getting closer to the end of the stint, because I know the BMW just shreds its tires if you're not careful.
I mean, how are you going to... I mean, of course, the fact that the sun was lowering, we saw the headlights ablaze on the GT3 cars tonight. We're going to have the nighttime race, you know, true Rolex 24 feeling here at the World Centre of Speed. The temperatures are going to play a little bit of a game here tonight with us, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, obviously cooler track's going to take a little bit longer to get some heat in the tires, which obviously, like I said, the way these GT3s handle now, you have to be really careful if your tires are not up to temp. The cars can just snap on you so easily.
Well, Braden, congratulations on the win in the first race. Good luck for race 2. We'll hopefully speak to you a little bit later on.
Hopefully. Thanks.
So, a big thank you there from our AM class winner. Let's bring in our Pro AM class winner. It's another win for the Wilson Racing Lamborghini train. Chase Wilson, well done, another W. Well done, buddy. Good driving out there.
Appreciate it. Yeah, just needed to put in the laps. Found myself a nice little gap out in front there, and just managed to maintain it and grow on it a little bit. And really, fingers crossed, need to keep this race 2 clean and have a good solid haul of points so we can set ourselves up well for Bathurst next week.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that even with the second race tonight, you know, the title's still going to be up for grabs, going into one of the most fearsome tracks known to all avid GT3 racers, there yourself included. Like you said, it's about crossing the T's, dotting the I's, keeping everything nice and clean. But the start that we saw you get in the opening race was just absolutely fantastic. You got the jump on the field, didn't you?
Yeah, you got to read those drivers' briefing notes. We entered that early acceleration zone, and once I saw the field kind of stack up, I pulled the trigger and off I went. So luckily, the Wilson Racing Lamborghini Huracan ran well today, and hopefully for race 2 we can have a similar style of result.
Brilliant. Well, Chase, we'll let you get back to it. Get ready for race 2. Congratulations on the opening race tonight.
Thank you, guys. Talk soon.
Well, with those brief interviews out of the way, we're going to head to a break ahead of race 2 here at Daytona International Speedway, the World Centre of Speed for round 9 of season 4, the IMB Racewear WSL GT3 season. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the second race of the 9th round of Season 4 of the IMB World Series League US GT3 season. And it's Alex Goldschmidt and David Christie back with you once again. David, now we have the centrepiece. We have the 50 minutes mandatory pit stop, balls to the wall race here at Daytona International Speedway. If we thought the first race was a cracker, that was the aperitif, this is the main course and dessert all thrown into one.
It absolutely is, Alex. We're not going to be spoiled, I can promise you that much. If I can tell you that on the finish of the EU race in the 50-minute feature race, we had a 3-car fight for second place that was separated by 0.6 of a second. That's what we're in store for tonight.
Yeah, and the pit stop strategies are going to be crucial. The air temperatures are going to be significantly different. I mean, it's 19 degrees Celsius, 30% chance of humidity, clear skies up above in the Florida skies, and also just a slight wind, 3 kilometers an hour, which is about a mile and a half, 1.5 miles per hour. As you can see, the floodlights are ablaze here at Daytona. Kai DL will lead the way after having a disaster in the first race. He'll have Harry Wills, who'll hopefully get his campaign back on track, in second position. Taylor Lane and Ethan Bass, with the latter in the 51, the Scotsman doing the very, very good business of showing the might of the blue oval around Daytona. Dean Timms will start from 5th on the grid. Justin Delano and John Traynor will line up on the front row of Pro-Am ahead of Jeremy Littleton and Eric Kalaga. Ashraf El Haddad, who did one of the most audacious moves, which I just managed to have a look back over in the break, starts 5th ahead of Justin Ristow in 6th position in Pro-Am. Stephen Martinez and Chase Wilson ran at the top 8, with James Nunn and Michael Kalaga completing the top 10. John Casey will start from pole position in Pro-Am ahead of Charles Bushell, with Andrew Hewitt, Rick Swan, Matthew Plaisance, Daniel Florea, Michael Fowler and Braden Melling rounding out the 8 strong. Fowler and Melling still very, very closely packed in the championship fight in the AM class as we are about to gear up and get ready. David, I'm excited for this one, mate.
Oh, yes. That's all I really can say on this one. The start of this is going to be absolutely crucial. We've seen what's in store here. I mean, Ethan Bass is definitely the one that we have to watch out for here. That 4GT has not been competitive in terms of pace all season, and then boom, suddenly in the final race, it is absolutely devastatingly quick. I wouldn't look past Ethan trying to get himself up into that top spot.
Yep, so we are gearing up and getting ready for the penultimate feature race of the 2022 season of the IMB Racewear World Series League GT3 Season 4 here at the iconic World Centre of Speed. The Porsche pace car will now make its way down pit road for what will be the second to last time this season, as the 5-car Pro field starts building pace. The red lights very shortly will ignite on the starting gantry as they do now. Virtual camera flashes from the audience circulating this fantastic circuit, and a great start by Kai DL, who leads the field as Taylor Lane was briefly looking up the inside of Harry Wills, who nearly outbrakes himself going in towards the vicinity of the rear bumper of Kai DL going through turns 1 and 2, but a clean start for the pros. Now the Pro-Am. It's Delano versus Traynor on the front row. Traynor gets caught napping as Delano puts the pedal to the metal in that flat 6 boxer engine on the rear axle of that Porsche 911, and the Porsche makes it through, but Traynor's looking up the inside into T1. Eric Kalaga looking up the inside of Jeremy Littleton. They nearly have a slight amount of contact going through into T1 on the approach into turn 2, but they get through cleanly. John A. Casey and Charles Bushell now lead the field in the AM class, and Casey puts the pedal to the metal in the Ferrari. The Mercedes of Bushell caught napping. Andrew Hewitt also trying to make his mark in the Porsche, looking towards the outside of the Mercedes into turn number 1, and has already pulled past the Mercedes and gotten through into second position. I think that might have been Matthew Plaisance that ran a little bit wide coming in through turn 1, but oh no! John A. Casey has just lost it! John A. Casey has just lost it, coming out of turn 2 into the Rodriguez International Horseshoe, and the Ferrari's front end is mangled. Right, we can have a look at the replay. He's just caught the curbing, he's lost the back end, and Andrew Hewitt, you were a very, very lucky individual right there, but John A. Casey not having the greatest start to the race. He got the start nailed perfectly, and then all of a sudden, that just happens.
That is not what you want to have right in front of you right at the start. I mean, I think some scary, scary moments all round for everyone involved, especially Andrew Hewitt there. And Jeremy Littleton's gone as well here.
Oh no.
That's at the bus stop.
Oh, the Le Mans chicane. Now that car is bouncing up and down like a bungee cord at the front end of it. That car's gonna... Yeah, let's just have a look at the replay. So comes in. Oh, he just loses the back end. Loses the back end, and that's going to go hard into the barriers. Bang. Well, that was on the left side, not the front end impact that John Casey had. Jeremy Littleton's in the pit lane as well. And here at the Pro-Am class, Ashraf El Haddad is a little bit further up the road. Chase Wilson now up to 4th onto lap 2 of the race, and it's 3 wide. Oh my goodness me, one of which was the number 21. That was Charles Bichelle being passed by Matthew Plaisance, and also Michael Fowler. And Braden Melling currently sitting in what is 4th position at the moment. He's got a little bit of time to find his Braden Melling as Eric Kalaga nearly gets a little touch up the inside of him. That was possibly that was the number 75 of James Nunn, who was very close, and he's looking even more closer into the next left-hander here at turn 6. And Kalaga runs a little bit wide. There's nearly a little bit of a touch between the two. There is more touching coming out of T7. They're rubbing paint. They are rubbing paint going down the oval. This is going to be very, very hairy indeed. And there is Justin Riestal waiting to pick up the pieces.
Come on, Justin, 3 wide. Let's just do it. Let's
high, wide, and handsome. Come on.
Yeah, let's just end this once and for all. That was very, very aggressive from the two of them there, Eric Kalaga and Stephen Martinez. Of James Nunn there, just really, really laying into each other. And I've got to be honest, I do enjoy a little bit of fisticuffs now and again.
Getting the old elbows out, you know what it's like. It sounds like a mixed martial arts match. Only no one's using Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the moment. However, look at the speed that Chase Wilson has got on Ashraf El Haddad, and that is John Traynor just up ahead. So they're not just getting it. He's not just getting the side job; they're getting a bit of a toe. Whereas Kai DL is already making his way through. Hang on a second, that is Taylor Lane I've just seen drop down a couple of places because Ethan Bass has just gotten up the inside. Now Taylor Lane returns the favour through the International Horseshoe through turn 3. The BMW looking a little bit of a handful going through the corner. Ethan Bass looks to the outside, sends him to the Nigel Mansell dummy, going through into the kink, and the 51 tries to make it through. The number 32 of Lane runs a little bit wide. I was coming out of turn 6 there. And Ethan Bass makes it up to P3. That was a great little exchange. Taylor Lane, I don't think, might be 100% happy behind the wheel of that car.
All I'm going to say is, you just said about that it's not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm sorry, are you watching the same race here? They're quite clearly kicking lumps out of each other here. This is brilliant, brilliant stuff. And we've got another 45 minutes of this left to go here. I think that now Taylor Lane's been put behind Ethan Bass there. I can only see one way in which that traffic is going to be going as we keep a little look further back. James Nunn still with that fight. Everything going on in that Pro-Am fight just now, and Justin Delano getting no peace right now because look at Ashraf El Haddad and John Traynor.
Whoa.
What a move!
Ashraf El Haddad again strikes whilst the iron is hot. That time a very, very clean pass. And now we see Ethan Bass closing in on Kai DL, so he's got past Harry Wills. Harry Wills looking up the inside coming out of turn 1. They're going to go side by side into the chicane. This is going to be a bit close for comfort. And into the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. Ethan Bass will have the inside line on the 95 Mercedes of Harry Wills. Harry Wills goes wide, then a little bit further back we've got more side-by-side action as Ashraf El Haddad has just literally slung-shot past Justin Delano. Chase Wilson has got past John Traynor. It was like 2 cars in each row lining up for Noah's Ark, wasn't it? Only there's no rainfall here in Florida.
Well, that's a sore subject with iRacing over the next couple of weeks. We'll certainly see. But yeah, this is what we were saying earlier on. You know, if you're going to be making a move here, Alex, you have to be damn sure that it's going to stick. Otherwise, you've got a pack of hungry, baying wolves that will quite happily take that position from you.
Yeah, Harry Wills now getting into the slipstream of the Ford GT of Ethan Bass. Now he's doing a bit of NASCAR style. He's bump drafting all the way through the oval, right up the exhaust pipes of the Ford GT. And they're going to be heading down to what will be the Le Mans chicane. You bump over the inside curbing. A little bit more taken by Harry Wills. But Ethan Bass just able to put the power down in that Ford GT and just literally rocket away. He's already got a half-second advantage over Harry Wills. And now we've got the battle for what is second place. Well, a little bit further back, it was the battle between Chase Wilson and Justin Delano, and now Ethan Bass looking around the outside. Do not tell me you're going to do that again on Kai DL. He's going to try that move again like he did in race 1, and he's got through. And here comes Harry Wills. Here comes the charge of the cavalry, or charge of the light brigade, and Ethan Bass has made it through to the race lead.
That's
and look,
outrageous, Alex.
The 5 cars in Pro, David, covered by less than a second, 1.1 seconds. That is even more ridiculous than what we had in race 1, where Harry Wills was right on the back end of it, 14 seconds down after the opening couple of laps. But Ashraf El Haddad has now got nearly a second advantage. It's nearly 3 wide going into the bus stop between the likes of Delano, Martinez and Traynor. But my goodness me, this is just shaping up to be an instant classic, this one.
Yeah, absolutely is, and we've done many different commentaries over many different races, Alex, and one of the worries you have in longer races that are about an hour is that the first 5 minutes is where all the action is, and then it just sort of fizzles out. However, there's absolutely no danger in this whatsoever, because you know, you look at everything that's kicking off right now, and you times this with the fact that we've got to go through another 40 odd minutes, and you throw in pit stops right now.
Yes.
This is going to be spicy all night long.
Sounds like a Lionel Richie reference there, doesn't it?
Oh no! Start
Yeah,
singing
there we
along
go.
in a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, DJ Christie in the place to be. Yeah, exactly. Moving swiftly on, but Ashraf El Haddad is keeping a very steady gap between himself and Chase Wilson. But Wilson has been on the charge. We're riding on board with the number 44 ERS by Skyline Designs Lamborghini Huracan of Kai DL. That car is approaching 280 kilometers an hour. Where on earth has Harry Wills decided to pull that one out of the magician's hat? Because he's just got past DL. He's going to try and go side by side through turn 1. What are you doing, man? He's going to keep it planted. He's going to get the inside run for the horseshoe, and he's going to do a number on the 51 of Ethan Bass unless the Ford GT turns in and shuts the door. No, the door's kept open. Harry Wills squeezes him. Oh my, Harry Wills, you have literally turned a corner, buddy. You really have. And they go through the kinks side by side once again. Ethan Bass is not going to have the inside line this time for what is turn 5. But my goodness, Harry Wills, you are an absolute animal. That is ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure he started that lap in P3 as well.
He did.
We'll have to go on board and get an idea of this, right? Straight past. Gets
like
P2 before we even cross the line, and then round the outside. That is absolutely disgusting. Harry Wills, that needs to come with an adult content warning on that.
It's like the old rap albums from the 1990s.
We're gonna have to cut away because Justin Rostow has had an absolutely monumental moment at the West hairpin. Let's see what he's done here.
That's with James Nunn, and Nunn was looking on the inside. There's a touch between the two, the slightest of glances, and unsettles. He was very lucky indeed. He didn't collect the wall.
Good
very lucky
Lord.
indeed.
Right, Ethan Bass now back in the lead of the race. 40 more minutes of this, Alex. We're going to need about 2 weeks rest after. Well, you're going to have quite a few weeks rest after this, but
well, not if Harry Wills has anything to say about it, because he's just gone around the outside of Ethan Bass just again. And he is going to launch it, and that's a Danny Rick. Get it stopped, Harry, get it stopped. And again, we're going to have, like we did on the previous lap, Harry Wills again, or back-end twitches on the Mercedes, and Ethan Bass retains the lead. And the gap now between the 5 cars, folks, is less than 3/4 of a second. This is going to be the ultimate high-speed strategic game of chess, played at over 180 miles an hour at some points in this circuit. That is ridiculous.
I was thinking more chicken, but yeah, it's tactical nonetheless. I'm glad you did that, not me. It's like 2:25 in the morning here, and I don't think my brain could quite comprehend trying to do a noise like that. It would just
I think it's just comedic value, isn't it? But again, like Ethan Bass just holding that lead, and we're going to see now if we can ride on board with Harry Wills and actually give you an idea of the speed. So we'll keep that, if we can keep the telemetry in the bottom right-hand corner, that would be greatly appreciated. So 270 kilometers an hour. Now the momentum's coming through to getting close to 280. We're going into the Le Mans chicane at turns 10 and 11. So 180 kilometers an hour. Now the speed's going to increase. So we're going to be pushing now over to 140 miles an hour. And now up the gears, up to 6th gear, 260 kph. Now the slipstream's starting to engage a bit here. It's a bit like having an overdrive button without needing one. And 280 kilometers an hour, and he just pulls to the outside across the start-finish line alongside Ethan Bass, and they were 45 thousandths apart. 282 kilometers an hour recorded on the speedometer, and Harry Wills has got Ethan Bass right up the inside, and again they were side by side, and it's a repeat of earlier. Harry Wills nearly loses the back end, Ethan Bass trying to get away, Harry Wills looking to send it through into the Rodriguez International Horseshoe, and he's got the lead again. This is absolutely brilliant, and Kai DL's just waiting in the ringside seat he's licking his lips, not just him but Taylor Lane and Dean Timms, who are waiting to pick up the pieces on this one, and they haven't put a foot wrong yet. Touch wood.
Absolutely fascinating battle going on here. And Ethan Bass, that was a little bit of a lock up on the brakes there, clipped the back end of Harry Wills, and it was Bass that comes off worse for wear. And this is the really frustrating thing. He's now a second off of the pace here, right? And I'll guarantee he'll just close up to it just like that.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is the other two things with the temperatures, but also the fuel mileage per lap. You know, when it's cooler, and when these engines are either naturally aspirated or turbocharged, there's more colder forced air going through into the engine bays. So fuel consumption is going to be slightly higher in terms of the amount of forced air induction that's being put through these engines, and that always happens. So thereby, you'll always get that additional amount of probably 0.2 or 0.3 of a litre actually being eaten away by the engine over the course of a lap. And that can make the difference between how much longer you're going to be in for the pit stop phase, David.
The pit stop phase is actually another very, very interesting thing to talk about, because obviously fuel saving is going to be one of the other factors that we've got here, as Ethan Bass goes flying into the corner, way too hot there, and that is going to allow Taylor Lane up the inside potentially there. They two are going to be fighting it out. Meanwhile, further down as well, we've got a heck of a battle going on between Matthew Plaisance and Michael Fowler right now. You've got Justin Zolano as well here in the Pro-Am battle. Achraf El Haddad just a small whisker away from our Pro-Am leader right now.
Yeah, Chase Wilson has absolutely stormed it again, hasn't he? I mean, he's nearly 0.8 of a second up the road from Achraf El Haddad. Oh, and Eric Kalaga's had a moment. Oh, dearie me. He's been doing really, really well at the latter point of the season as Eric Kalaga. There's been some really good flashes of brilliance, but there always seems to be a drama for the Vulture Motorsports Lamborghini, doesn't there?
Yeah, and it's just the luck of the draw, which is unfortunate, but you can be the fastest racing driver you can possibly be, and if you don't have any luck, then it all counts for nothing, unfortunately. You need to have that rub of the green to be able to convert those races into wins. I wouldn't expect to see too much between Kai DL and Harry Wills here, given that they are both teammates right now, but what they're going to have to watch out is Ethan Bass again right on the tail of that fight here, and more shenanigans with Michael Fowler and Rick Swan here.
The only thing I'm worried about is the two leaders in the AM class. You've got Braden Melling and Matthew Plaisance, both under the ERS by Skylines Designs awning, effectively. You remember what happened to them at Spa earlier on this year?
Yes, they collided into each other.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't want anything to happen. I mean, the thing is that Matthew is not in the championship fight, but he is mathematically still in the hunt. We go back now to Achraf El Haddad. Now, this Porsche's had a real resurgence now, because that gap was nearly 0.8 of a second, and Achraf El Haddad has just closed that up by 5.5 tenths going into turn one. Oh, Kai DL's had a moment. Kai DL has had a massive moment in the 44 Lamborghini. We can have a replay now. So he's behind Harry Wills, and he just goes off track, and that was out of the horseshoe. Oh, and that is definitely a new change of virtual race underwear needed.
Yeah, it's soiled a little bit.
Soiled? I like your definition there, but Matthew Plaisance now going towards the outside of Braden Melling. Braden's not fighting that, and that's a very, very good thing to do, because you don't want to break the biggest cardinal sin that can be done in motorsport, which is take out your teammate by accident or any other way. We've seen that before in other motorsports. As now we've got Andrew Hewitt, who's getting a bit racy behind Daniel Florea for P6 in the AM class as they go through the exit of T1 and into turn 2, heading into the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. Ethan Bass, though, however, is closing in. You got the Jaws music on standby, because I think something ominous is going to happen.
Yeah, it is. The pace of that Ford GT is just like ridiculous. The way that he's closing in on Harry Wills. I mean, you see it here, coming right up to the back end of that car, coming across the line. I don't think he'll get a move done going into turn 1 here, but yeah, he's also bringing Taylor Lane and Dean Timms along with him here. So I think that there's a little bit of strategy, a little bit of fuel management going on now from these cars, who are deciding just to kind of back off a little bit and try and conserve a little bit of fuel here.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100% agree there. Justin Delano has got Steven Martinez, the Vulture Motorsports for Porsche and Ferrari, running in tandem at the moment. John Traynor is just behind them. What on a... Chase Wilson has lost it, and also Ashraf El Haddad. I think they've just had an incident. We're going to go to a replay. So Chase Wilson going towards the high part of the circuit on the approach into turn 1. And wait for it, there's Ashraf El Haddad. Wilson's going to turn it in, clips the tyre barriers and collects Haddad at the same time. A really uncustomary mistake from Chase Wilson. He's going to be kicking himself after that.
Oh, I'm not sure he's going to be able to feel his feet after that. Good lord, that was brutal. Straight in the tyre wall. And I've got no idea how that happened. That just...
He just turned in too much. He just turned in too much. I think he overcompensated.
Yeah, that car is absolutely done.
Yeah, he's been in the pits now for 30 seconds. That really, you know what that means? Justin Delano has a big opportunity, not just him, but Ashraf El Haddad. Depending on if El Haddad is still able to drive that car in its current form, this could give the opportunity for Justin Delano. Let's put it from this perspective. The gap was 32 points coming into tonight's racing. As Harry Wills as just... Oh my goodness me. Sympathy spinning from... And Kai DL just literally threads the eye of the needle. But Harry Wills, I mean, that's happened for both the leader in both the Pro and the Pro-Am class. Ashraf El Haddad has just pitted the car. And now Taylor Lane's leading, so we're going to have a look again. So Harry Wills has got Ethan Bass looking up his inside, then turns it in, the back end just steps out. He's just lost it already before he's even hit the apex. So Ethan Bass is trying to just keep himself inside. He gets hit. He gets hit. I thought the back bumper of that Ford GT was rearranged, and Taylor Lane goes exit stage right and leaves the scene of the crime, driving that BMW like he stole it. That's going to be a hamper, I think, for Taylor Lane. Ashraf El Haddad has been in the pits for over 30 seconds now. Chase Wilson has been in there for over 2 minutes. But yeah, Taylor Lane, I think, just got caught out. I think probably because what happened was Ethan Bass was on the brakes as soon as he saw Harry Wills spinning. And then, yeah, Taylor Lane, it wasn't his fault. He had nowhere to go on that.
Oh, yeah. As much as I love throwing racing drivers under the bus, there was absolutely zero that Taylor Lane could have done differently in that situation. The car in front just broke right in front of him. He had no time to react on that. And, yeah, just an unfortunate passenger end that one. Dean Timms trying to catch up, though, to try and take this race lead, though. And that was a bit of a last-minute move there.
Last
minute. That was... That kind of sums everything up there. The thing with this, though, is this has been a manic,
he's going to get the undercut,
race.
though. Keep an eye. Look,
he's done
Dean
him.
Timms, yeah, he got the undercut. Taylor Lane went wide going into turn 1, and Dean Timms just swept a little bit wider going through T1, got the inside run on him. Harry Wills and Ethan Bass are now in the pit lane. Yeah, Chase Wilson has been in the pit box for over 3 minutes, and that's not going to end well, I think, for the number 13. So, yeah, we're now seeing the first run of pit stops. Yeah, Taylor Lane just, I think, outbraked himself going into T1. And, yeah, Dean Timms just lined it up like he was bowling a strike at a 10-pin bowling alley.
Strike, I believe, is the term that
yes.
used. Yes, well, you know, Wii Sports and all that. Back to the race, though. We're just about coming up to the halfway point in the second race of the evening. This is so many implications now for this championship. It's unbelievable, as Dean Timms into leads. I wonder if Taylor Lane is actually going to be able to take the lead back of this race here.
I think there's a very, very good chance. He's just got to be very, very careful. I mean, he got away from that incident involving Ethan Bass, very, very likely. So there might be some superficial damage, I think, to the left front of that BMW. But yeah, it doesn't look like he's lost any pace at all, because he's now going to try and get the side draft from Dean Timms. And it's BMW 1-2 side by side through the final corner. Yeah, and across the line. And Taylor Lanes has done a number on Dean Timms. And Taylor Lane again sweeping towards the outside, going through into T1. This time just anticipates where Dean Timms is going to park the car. And Kai DL looks to be not that far adrift. No, there he is in the number 44 Lamborghini.
Here comes Stephen Martinez as well for the lead of the Pro-Ams just now. 0.2 of a second, just 1/10 of a second ahead of Justin Delano. I've got to be honest, I love that livery on the Vulture Motorsports 38 of Justin Delano. It's a little bit of the old razzle dazzle, I think.
It's got a shade of the old Evil Knievel on it, hasn't it? With considering of where we are as well in the land of the stars and the stripes, the home of the free and the brave. And he's now got a real opportunity, because if he keeps in the top 3, Chase Wilson, after what happened earlier on, that car has been stationary for over 5.5 minutes, and that is not going anywhere. I think Chase Wilson now knows that the title fight is going to go down to Mount Panorama in a week's time, where David will be joined by Chris Honeyball from Gridfinder, who's going to be making his WSL commentary debut. But Taylor Lane continues to lead the way by just under 0.3 of a second. And here comes the hard-charging 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 Lamborghini Huracan of one Kai DL. And I think Kai DL wants a victory.
Oh, I don't know what makes you think that. The fact that he's absolutely stalking these two right now. And that was a little bit of a bump draft there from Dean Timms on the back end of Taylor Lane there. Possibly try to give him a little bit of overspeed going into that corner there. But the two of them managing to get things going. And just like that, Alex, I can't believe we've actually hit the halfway point of this race here.
Yeah, well, let's take you through the respective classes. There's our race leader in AM. Braden Melling looking to make it 2 for 2 and extend his lead over Michael Fowler. It's his ERS by Skyline's design teammate who's just 1.3 seconds adrift from Matthew Plaisance, with Michael Fowler rounding out the top 3. Rick Swan and Daniel Florea complete the top 5 in the AM class. But then in Pro-Am, the biggest development so far this season, that Chase Wilson is not leading the way. It's Stephen Martinez and Justin Delano, who are just covered by just under 0.6 of a second, as Braden Melling gets on the pit lane limiter, heading into pit road to make his mandatory stop just past the halfway point. There is Stephen Martinez and Justin Delano. John Traynor rounds out the top 3 in the Pro-Am class. 5.1 seconds off the race leader is the number 75 of James Nunn, with Michael Kalaga in the number 82 Ferrari rounding out the top 5. In Pro, it is Taylor Lane in the fiercely forward number 32 BMW that leads the race overall, with a gap of about 3.5 of a second to Twisted Racing's Dean Timms. Kai DL rounding out the top 3, with Harry Wills and Ethan Bass already having served their mandatory pit stops. And what's more, David, I'm seeing anywhere between 16 to 19 seconds per pit stop. Daniel Florea has been in the pits for just 24 seconds. So we're going to see some quick fire pit stops, but some of these drivers have decided to go for the long game strategy, haven't they?
They have, and the thing with that is obviously the earlier you come in, the more fuel you're going to need to have to top up. We don't know how much fuel that they've currently got in these cars as well, and also how they perform under that pressure of having all that weight. That's all the sort of stuff we'll wait to find out very, very shortly here. But again, this is what makes this entire championship so tantalising, is the fact that, look, as commentators, we love to know a lot of things, but the way this race is going to go, we have absolutely no idea right now.
Yeah, 100% the case, because We never know what these drivers are going to use as a very well honed strategy, but that can be thrown a curveball or a spanner in the works, like if your name is Chase Wilson and you've been in the pit lane for 9 minutes. So Chase Wilson might hopefully try and get that car repaired and out for getting some points, but it'll be damage limitation very much at the biggest point of his spectrum, because now he knows that he's got to put it all on the line and go for Broken Mount Panorama in just a week's time at the season finale. Again, just a reminder for those viewers at home who are watching along with us, no dropped scores permitted in rounds 9 and 10 of this fourth and what has been so far a breathtaking, exciting and scintillating season, which will see titles go right down to the wire next week at the Mountain in New South Wales, as Dean Timms now starting to put the pressure on Taylor Lane once again through T1. And Kai Diel still has got the ringside seat. They were covered by just over 8.5 tenths of a second after 16 laps of the iconic Daytona International Speedway road course, just over 3.5 miles in length, 12 corners in all, with oval banking as high as a 31 degree angle. And again, you can see what Dean Timms is doing. He's really trying to put that pressure on Taylor Lane, because Dean Timms knows that he's got to put everything all on the line now to try and get a good strategy and a good sort of psychological advantage, I would say, going into the final round next week, David.
Yeah, and he has to push. That's the thing, is that there's so much resting on tonight in terms of the championship, in terms of the psychology of it. It's a fascinating prospect that we've got going on, but the championship now is poised so finely, Alex, that it's any mistake that could swing this thing once and for all.
Well, I'm pleased to announce that after 9.5 minutes in the pit lane, Chase Wilson is now back on the circuit, and he's multiple laps down. I think probably 4 to 5 laps down at the moment as things stand. So it's going to be a bit of pill to swallow for the number 13 Wilson Racing Lamborghini, as Justin Delano trying to do his best to see if he can close on Stephen Martinez. And I would probably hazard a guess here, David, with 30 minutes out of the 50 completed, it's not going to be that long before we see the next barrage of pit stops. And already I see that the top 9 overall rounded out by the number 66 of Eric Kalaga in the Vulture Motorsports blue Lamborghini Huracan. I don't think those pit stops are going to be far away.
No, they're really, really not. And you're going to want to try and stretch it out as long as you possibly can, but I don't think you're going to see them bringing it out much longer. There's no point to it anyway, because you want to get it out the way and get back onto the track, I would imagine, if it was me, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Chase Wilson knows that he's got a mountain to climb, and it will be the mountain they'll be climbing next week. But this battle here for the race lead in the Pro-Am class, Stephen Martinez and Justin Delano, 2 from Vulture Motorsports, both knowing that they're not going to try, they're going to work together. But I hazard a guess that Justin Delano, to really, really put that psychological advantage stamp over the head of one Chase Wilson, he's got to get that lead, and he's got to win to really put himself on the confidence gravy train going into next week, as the Porsche still tries to close up on the Ferrari, but the Ferrari's sheer torque from that 3.9 litre twin-turbo V8 mid-mounted engine, producing in the region of about 700 pounds-feet of torque, is not giving the Porsche an easy time whatsoever. But hopefully Delano might be able to try and close that up in the twisty stuff as they go through the Le Mans chicane at turns 10 and 11. But again, Martinez just able to eke out that gap, and by the time they got out of the Le Mans chicane, it rose by nearly 0.3 of a second. That just goes to show how much more powerful in a straight line the Ferrari is in comparison with the Porsche.
And that's exactly it. It's how everything has been turned on its head by this brand new balance of performance that's been recently updated here in iRacing on the platform. As there we go, over the line goes Kai Diel to take that position there from Dean Timms. So Dean Timms dropping down to P3. So again, it's
Yeah.
just a case of swapping fortunes for all of these drivers right now.
Yeah, Martinez has just jumped into pit lane. He's been stationary for just over 13 seconds, and that could be, he could be very close to jumping out of the pit lane. He's been in for 20 seconds now, and now will move away from the pit box and get out onto the circuit. The only thing is that with the fact that Delano was in, I think he might have been strategic in terms of being behind Martinez, because even if you are 3 to 4 car lengths behind, you can still get a substantial tow. And that can still help with you being, rather than being on 85% throttle or 100% full throttle, you might be about 10 to 15% further back on the pedal travel, just to eke out those additional litres worth of fuel that might give you an extra lap, maybe an extra 2 laps on that particular perspective. But now Kai DL is closing in once again on Taylor Lane. That gap is now just under 2.5 tenths of a second. And now DL and Timms and Lane all jump into pit lane at the same time. So this is on effectively lap number 19 of this race. Braden Melling is leading the way in the AM class, and he's got a gap of about 4.3 seconds ahead of Matthew Plaisance in for the race lead. And good to see that. I think Mr. Bichelle, I think that Mr. Hannibal, you are watching. Hello to you, good sir, over in Ohio at the moment. So Braden Melling now extending that gap, but with the top 3 in the pro class in the pit lane. Justin Delano has just jumped in. Kai DL in for 14 seconds. Taylor Lane, 16 seconds. Dean Timms in for 15 seconds. And now the gap is going to substantially decrease in terms of the battle for the pro class, because Harry Wills and Ethan Bass were about 40 and 43.5 seconds off of the leaders. Now that has been adjusted, and the 5 pro class cars are covered by 12.2 seconds, but Kai DL with a 14-second pit stop, 2 seconds quicker than Taylor Lane, jumped the number 32 in the pits. And you know what's even funnier? John Traynor, who is leading the Pro-Am class, has not yet pitted, and I think this is the first time we've actually seen a Pro-Am class car, for the briefest of moments, just have the overall race lead. But Kai DL went, sorry mate, hold my beer. No, he's not. Whoa. What, you want to know what he's just done? He's just set the fastest lap of the race of anybody. 1 minute 44.16 on lap number 19. So Harry Wills, in the next 15 minutes, could start to close as John Casey goes a little bit wide in the number 78 Ferrari going through into T1. That front end of that Ferrari still very much mangled as John Traynor now pits. And this is going to open things up in the Pro-Am class, because that might put, more than likely, Justin Delano into the lead. Now, interestingly enough, Delano was in the pit box for 5 seconds less than Steven Martinez, and that is why he's now got nearly a 6-second advantage. So from that perspective, this is exactly what Justin Delano needs. He needed to get the undercut on Martinez to put himself in prime position for the victory, and to really put the squeeze, the frighteners on Chase Wilson as Dean Timms within 0.6 of a second of Taylor Lane, still battling away over second position in the overall pro class lead. But Kai DL starting to try and pull away, but Taylor Lane might have some other ideas on that front, David. Yeah. Yep, just over 1 second separating the top 3 as they go through turns 2 and 3 and again into the heavy braking zone. Here at turn 3, the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. If anyone might remember, just before the dogleg, a significant accident that involved a certain Memo Gidley a few years ago at the Rolex 24 at Daytona. And Memo managing to get back into racing not that long ago. But this has been absolutely wall-to-wall, door-to-door racing all the way through. And even with the Pro Class, the top 3 as they come out of turn 6 and turn 7 onto the 31 degrees of banking here at Daytona International Speedway through turns 8 through 9 and then onto the backstretch heading towards the Le Mans chicane at turns 10 and 11. And you can, at some points, it looks like the drivers are nigh on straight lining it, but they're scrubbing off a hell of a lot of speed. They'll be pushing down from about 265 kph into about 170 going through into the Le Mans chicane. Michael Kulaga, in the meantime, is putting the pressure onto Justin Traynor just up ahead in the John Traynor in the number 28 car, who's still rounding out the top 5 in the Pro-Am class. Currently led comfortably, I might add, by Justin Delano, who has nearly a 5.4 second lead. A look at the top 3. 0.2 of a second as they cross the line. And Kai Diel is the one being hunted, and he's got 2 bimmers right behind him in the form of Taylor Lane and Dean Timms as they once again go through turns 1 and 2 into the Horseshoe at turn 3. Oh! Yeah, looked like Michael Kulaga was trying to turn in, but had to back out of it because John Traynor was right up the inside of him. And giving Traynor the racing line advantage going into turn 1. And you want to try and keep that advantage going into turn 1. But as we've seen already tonight, that the likes of Harry Wills and Ethan Bass were able to use sheer grunt and basically they had some stones doing it, getting around the outside of the opposition going into turn 1, especially with the exchange we saw with Harry Wills and Ethan Bass. I think it was in the early part of this race, wasn't it, David, where we were seeing them going side by side and neither of them were making mistakes. Both of them were giving each other respect and, what's more, racing room. No, and you wouldn't think that Dean Timms would line it up to nearly straight line the chicane through turns 1 and 2 on Kai Diel, but the Lamborghini starting to sprint away to about a car length and a half's advantage. That gap basically equates to the better part of nearly 0.4 of a second. But the BMW seems to be a very, very good package as well. And with the cooler conditions, I think it might be helping the BMW because you can just see how planted Dean Timms is, and as much as Kai Diel will want to win this race, I think that Dean Timms is the one that really has got the bit between the teeth. Taylor Lane, yet to win a race this season, if memory serves me correctly, David, also is in the hunt. So there are 3 cars here overall in the Pro Class, covered by 0.75 of a second, literally. And to see how, and now that gap's gone down to just under 0.6, because Taylor Lane has got the almightiest of drafts going into the Le Mans chicane, and all 3 of them pretty much take the same racing line. There was nearly a bit of cone murdering there coming out of turn 11 by Dean Timms, but again you can just see how powerful this toe is on the straight. And look at the closing speed from Taylor Lane. It might look like inches, but it's becoming a lot closer as they go through into the approach into T1. They are literally line astern. Dean Timms pulls towards the outside of Kai DL through across the start-finish line into turn 1. Timms is going to get the move done, is he? No, he goes a bit wide. DL up the inside of him again to retake the lead. Dean Timms, if he had actually scrubbed off a little bit more speed, I think he could have blocked the door for Kai DL.
He could have done, and that would have been a heck of a move there. But the weird thing is that they might be teammates, but I don't think there's obviously any team orders whatsoever other than go out there and have some fun. We saw that a couple of weeks ago with Harry Wills and the rest of the Twisted guys. 4 of them all just like diving and weaving and fighting with each other, but doing it in the most respectful way possible, if that makes sense.
That's exactly what we're seeing here as well. As they come out of turns 6 and 7. A bit of a tighter line taken by Dean Timms just to shorten his approach towards the circuit. But that also, if you try and not cut the corner, but you try and minimise the corner in terms of how much speed it can lose you. Dean Timms lost a lot of speed then, but now down the back stretch, he's going to nearly bump draft on the back of Kai DL through into the Le Mans chicane again, as we have, get this folks, 6 minutes to go, and we ain't that. I know, and as they always say, you ain't seen nothing yet, because look at Dean Timms again. He's going to pull to, is he going to try and pull towards the outside? No, he's not. He's going to stay behind Kai DL, but he's going to watch his braking very shortly going into T1. Now he's keeping him behind the Lamborghini, showing his nose, then not, slotting in behind, using Kai DL as a yardstick, braking into turns 1. Now the run through the chicane into turn 2, then towards turn 3 at the Rodriguez International Horseshoe. They are catching back marker traffic from what will be the AM class, but still to be within 6/10, and this is for the overall race lead in the Pro classification. And we are, folks, just 5 minutes away from completing what has been an absolute howitzer of a race here tonight under the dark Florida skies at the World Center of Speed, Daytona International Speedway. This is as good as it gets, folks, when it comes to iRacing GT3 action at Daytona, with still Kai DL, Dean Timms and Taylor Lane battling away over the Pro Class lead as we're heading into the final 4 minutes of the race. Kai DL leads in Pro, Justin Delano leading in Pro-Am, and Braden Melling looking for it to be 2 for 2 tonight in the AM class to further solidify his lead in the championship heading into the final round of season 4 next week at Mount Panorama. Again, Dean Timms in the slipstream, heading into turn 1 behind Kai DL. And again, this time, Timms sweeps wide through in towards the approach into turn number 1. Taylor Lane, who at one point was leading this race, now is still in 3rd. DL nearly opened the door for Dean Timms through into the horseshoe. And the Lamborghini runs a little bit wide, a little bit of a tighter exit taken by Dean Timms. This could give him the run that he needs. Going through into the dogleg at turn 4. And then into the West Horseshoe here at T5. Again, no matter what Dean Timms or Taylor Lane does, they cannot get past the sheer ferocity of that Lamborghini in the hands of one Kai DL. Yeah, they're just about to get past Andrew Hewitt, which Kai Dial quickly obliges. So does Dean Timms, because we're into the final 2 and a bit minutes. And now Timms is really going to ramp up the pace and ramp up the attack. He's going to go round the outside of the Lamborghini, through into the approach across the start-finish line with 2 laps to go. And Timms went up the inside, didn't go around the outside this time on Kai DL and made it stick. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you tee up the perfect overtake into turn 1 here at Daytona. That was masterful from Dean Timms. He knew exactly when to strike and went, right, I want to lead, I want to win this race, and I want to get that move done now. And that's exactly what he did, David. Yeah, we definitely do. And that's exactly what Dean Timms will have at the moment, because, again, just trying to make that transition between turn 6 and 7. He went a little bit tighter than Kai DL, who had the momentum carrying through and going through turn 8. This is the run through down into turn 9, into the back stretch. And what are we going to see from Kai DL? Are we going to see a surprise sprung at the Le Mans chicane? No, he thinks better of it, waits for the next opportunity, which will be coming out of turn 11 now, as they power up the gears through the rev range and accelerate through turn number 12, and then turn 13 before the front stretch here at Daytona. And now we are going to we are 35 seconds away from the checkered flag, and this will be the final lap of this race. And look at how close DL is. He is just waiting for his opportunity, looking towards the inside through into turn 1. Dean Timms shuts the door, plants the car on the apex and blocks the Lamborghini perfectly there. But this is bringing Taylor Lane back into the run of things. And unfortunately, Harry Wills is now going to find that Dean Timms is going to be right on his case next week at Mount Panorama, because Harry Wills has been in the pits for over 30 seconds. I think he might have copped some damage. Oh yeah, that car is crabbing. We've seen that many times, and Harry Wills now knows he's got a fight on his hands, because he lost the back end going through into turn 2. Car's sideways. He's going through into the horseshoe. That's going to hit the wall. Bang. Yeah, they're not thinking about the 1-2. They're thinking, each of them are thinking about the victory, because now into the back stretch, now into the Le Mans chicane. The timer has exceeded the 50 minutes, and is it going to be enough for Dean Timms to hold on? Could Kai DL make it a drag race to the finish? He's got enough power in that Lamborghini, and now he's going to get the slipstream through turn 12. They've then got turn 13 to negotiate, and the closing speed. There we go. Kai DL towards the inside now through the final corner. It's going to be a run to the line. The checker's going to be out. It's going to be Kai DL that takes the win by 34,000. No, it was Dean Timms. Dean Timms across the line is the winner. 34 thousandths was the winning margin. That is the closest finish we've had all season long, and it was a run to the line. That was brilliant. Yeah, Braden Melling now making his way through. It'll be 2 for 2 for the Canadian from ERS by Skylines Designs. And it's going to go down to the wire next week at Mount Panorama in Bathurst, New South Wales, as Braden Melling makes his way through into the final corner. And it's going to be the checkered that the BMW driver sees. And it's 2 for 2 for the Canadian. Well deserved, well earned. by the number 8 car. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to celebrate, because now we're going to hopefully see some donuts. Light up those rear tyres, Braden. There we go. Some good donuts under the Daytona nighttime sky here. But what a way to cap off the penultimate round of the season, wouldn't you say, David?
Oh, that was absolutely fantastic, Alex. I really enjoyed that, and I think you're going to have some very happy drivers in a couple of minutes when they come in to have a chat with us. But yeah, that was a brilliant race. They did themselves proud. I was very worried about how the drivers were going to find this new balance of performance and the way that the cars handled, and they dealt with it absolutely superbly.
Well, let's have a look at the results for the feature race, if we can, for the 9th round. Kai DL winning. It was Kai DL. The timing has been reversed. I thought it might have been Kai DL. It was 37 thousandths of a second, pipping Dean Timms for the victory across the line. It was like Fast and the Furious all over again. Taylor Lane finishing just over 6/10 behind the race winner in 3rd place. Ethan Bass rounding out the top 4. Harry Wills, well, he's got the mountain to climb next week. He finished a lap down at the end of the race in the Pro class. But in Pro-Am, Justin Delano brings the fight to Chase Wilson, because he took the victory by just under 2/10 of a second ahead of Steven Martinez, with Eric Galaga taking his best finish, I think, this season in the number 66 Vulture Motorsports Lamborghini in P3, 5.2 seconds behind the race winner, and pipped John Traynor. We thought the victory in the Pro class was close. It was even closer between 3rd and 4th. It was literally 7 1/1000ths of a second. John Traynor rounding out the top 4. Michael Kalaga completing the top 5. Justin Risto, James Nunn, Chase Wilson, Ashraf El Haddad, and Jeremy Littleton unfortunately finishing his race and his evening very early. But then it was 2 for 2 for Canada's Braden Melling in the number 8 ERS by Skylines Design BMW, winning by nearly 13 seconds ahead of chief rival in the championship, Michael Fowler, with Matthew Plaisance, Rick Swan, Daniel Florea, Charles Michel, Andrew Hewitt and John A. Casey. Unfortunately having that moment on the opening lap through coming out of turn 2, but would still finish the race a lap down in 8th. So, I've got a whole host of drivers waiting. Let's see if we can put them out of their misery. Let's bring in the top 2 from the Pro class. Let's bring in race winner Kai DL and Dean Timms, first of all, if we can. So, but what a race it was. So, Kai, Dean.
Hello.
Closest finish we've seen this season, boys. I have to say, absolutely brilliant driving standards from the pair of you. It was the ultimate cat and mouse game, wasn't it?
It was, yes. I was trying to bait him in the last couple of laps to re-overtake, but he didn't take it.
Oh, I mean, Kai, just to put into perspective how close that finish was. I mean, you were literally doing a Toretto versus Spilner across the start-finish line, weren't you?
Yeah, that was extremely tough race. It was, first of all, I'll just thank Twisted for the season. It was a very good season, even though I wasn't here a couple of the weekends. But yeah, we made it really good this race. Dean was applying some pressure, and I knew how to stay smart this race because it's his favorite track. But yeah, it was he was trying to throw some moves that he didn't think I would know under the book, and I decided just to hold still. Taylor was a little bit back and decided to stay where I was, and it worked out in our favor. I think I won the race, but I don't know.
You did. The timing was correct. You did, because I saw it across the line and the timing saw otherwise, but then we got the actual confirmed results through. 37 thousandths of a second was the winning margin. That's how close it was. It was literally probably the front of your BMW, Dean. But Dean, coming to you, buddy. Obviously, Harry and you are in the battle for the championship.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Round. You know, it was 32 points. Harry's had a bit of a bad second race. I mean, as if his first race wasn't bad enough, the second one hasn't gone his way. But this really should help you. I mean, I know it's all on the line, but Mount Panorama, it's even more of a challenge next week. How are you going to be feeling going into that race?
Okay, actually, it's one of my favourite tracks. So yeah, I'm obviously with the new update. I don't know how the car's going to be. Before the update, it was incredible. So as long as I can unlock the potential in the setup wise, I think I'll be fine. It's looking good. Hopefully we can get a bigger grid, because I think I'm going to need some more cars between myself and Harry to win.
You might have to start playing. You might have to start playing the bugle and call for the cavalry, mate, from Twisted.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'd get my elbows out with Harry, but Harry's got bigger elbows than me, so I'm not going to try that.
And Kai, you know, the Lamborghini's been a pretty standout car this season, and in your hands it seems to work really, really well. What's the feeling going into Mount Panorama next week?
Honestly, I have no clue. Just really in my mind, just stay away from the walls. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But I'm gonna have to work on a setup. Every other sprint race and the feature race I've done really well. So I just have to keep in mind that I'm not fighting these guys for a championship, because I was a couple weekends down. I left for vacation. But also just to stay away from the walls, keep it clean, and if I'm able to get a win, then go for it, as long as it's clean.
Cool. Well, Dean, Kai, thank you very much for your time. Thank you
Pleasure.
for some great entertaining racing tonight. And of course, we'll see you guys next week at Mount Panorama. Well done.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, man.
So a big thank you to Kai DL and Dean Timms there. Let's bring in our Pro-Am class winner, and also the guy that finished in second. Let's bring in, if we can, Justin Delano and Stephen Martinez. So firstly, Justin, congratulations on the win. Steve didn't make it easy for you, did he?
No, he did. Actually, he was helping me fuel save there.
We kind of thought that might be a little bit of the strategy, because it helped you out in the pit stops as well, because you're only in the box for 15 seconds, whereas Steve was in there for 20. But yeah, the fuel saving does help when it comes to hypermiling, especially in a car like the Porsche.
Yeah, especially at Daytona as well.
Yeah.
But another win under your belt for this season. You must be feeling pretty good now.
I'm a little excited about it. We'll get some extra points on Chase. It's going to come down to Bathurst, I think. I haven't looked at the totals yet, but we'll see how it goes.
It's going to be very, very close, because he came into this round with a 32-point advantage, and obviously with what happened to him through turn one, where he clipped the tyre barrier quite hard, was unfortunate. We're not too sure if he overcompensated or just turned it a bit too much. It's difficult to make a real sort of decision from our perspective with myself and David, but you know, Mount Panorama, the Porsche is going to be epic in the twisty stuff. The straight line we know that the Porsche does have a slight differential in the straight line performance, but it's all going to be down to slipstreaming again and hypermiling, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping there's a little more chaos in that race. I think there will be chaos in that race, but just hoping the racing gods play out in my favor.
And Stephen, great to see you at the sharp end of the grid again. A P2 to round off the night. You must be feeling pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, second best both races, I think. So we actually, yeah, I think I was second on the first race. So didn't get it done in the second, but yeah, it was more about keeping Justin clean, and we got lucky that the Chase kind of took himself out at the beginning, yeah, just kind of played the team game.
I mean, it also puts you in a very good position to more than likely either you have or you will have wrapped up fourth in the championship come the end of this season. But obviously with Ashraf El Haddad having a drama in race 2, you've closed the gap on him, but it was still nearly the best part of 100 points coming into this round. Do you think that John might be able to give you a little bit more trouble maybe at Mount Panorama, because you guys are only 3 points apart coming into tonight's racing?
Oh, Mount Panorama is going to give me a problem. So, so I was telling the guys I could walk that track and crash. I don't do it and the Ferrari is just really twitchy coming out of slow corners. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of practice. I think I've done like 2 laps there total since I've started iRacing. So, we'll see. I'll have some coaching to do. So
exactly. I think just get yourself prepped and ready. But Justin, Stephen, thank you very much for your time. Well done on the 1-2 for Vulture Motorsports this evening.
actually, we got a 1-2-3.
1-2-3.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring in your teammate in then. Let's see if we can bring in Eric, because he's Eric. A 1-2-3 for Vulture Motorsports, and I think possibly, if memory serves me correctly, your best result of the season. Well done.
It's been a terrible season. Yes, that is correct. I hate the Lamborghini. I hate it even more now after the update.
Oh dearie me, that does not bode well at all.
No, it was good. I kind of got a little bit. I got on a roll after I spun myself stupidly and recovered. I wouldn't have finished any higher than that anyway. So. I finished by a fender in front of John, and I spun him in race 1. We got going in the bus stop, and I was just trying to time it and tapped him. So that was my fault. But race 2 was good. Recovery nice, and then third place 1-2-3. Congrats to Justin and Steve. They were very fast, and I had nothing for them.
Well, at least that brings a lot of motivation for the Vulture Motorsports crew for next week. But guys, thank you very much for your time. All the very best of luck for next week at the season finale at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we're going to wrap it up with one more interview. It's the man that's done 2 for 2, continues to lead by my estimation in the AM classification. Let's bring in ERS by Skylines Design's very own Braden Melling. Well, twice in one night. Well done, Braden.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it was a crazy race. I'm not gonna lie. It was a very hard race at the start, and then after Fowler had that little moment in the horseshoe early on, like me and Matt were able to pull away pretty easily.
Yeah, I think also the biggest moment I think for the AM class was when we unfortunately saw John A. Casey have a moment in the Ferrari, literally out of turn 2, lost the back end, hit the wall pretty hard.
That was terrifying passing that. All of a sudden you just see lights spinning around and you're like, okay, did someone just call the police or is that a car spinning?
Were you waiting for Will Smith and Martin Lawrence from Bad Boys to turn up in a Porsche all of a sudden?
Basically.
But, I mean, Michael has finished second in both races. The title goes down to the wire next week at Mount Panorama. What's your thoughts on the circuit itself? Is it one that you enjoy racing at?
It's not a track I have a lot of experience at. It's a difficult track to race at. Like most of it is just straightaways, but it's that one part right at the top of the hill where it's that downhill S's. It can really screw you over if you just are a bit too impatient on the gas. Even like when you're going uphill after the first straight, that little sector there can also mess you up. And there's no runoff either in that area. All walls, so any light tap could potentially damage your car and force you to pit.
Yeah, well, Braden, you know what? I think we're going to leave you to do your talking out on track next week. Well done tonight with a double, and good luck for the final round in a week's time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Big thank you to everyone that has been with us on the broadcast all the way through so far. The final round, David Christie, Mount Panorama. It's going to be an exciting one.
Giddy is exactly how I am feeling on this. Cannot wait. And listen, Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board this season. I know that tonight's your final night for it, but what a season it's been. Just your final thoughts on what we've seen so far.
Well, firstly, I have to say a few thank yous. Firstly to IMB Racewear, World Series League. Also to Sim Sports Solutions for getting me on board with this, working alongside yourself. Yeah, it's been an absolute hoot, and to have my last commentary of the season where we have the win in the Pro Class separated by just 37 thousandths of a second after 50 minutes of racing with a mandatory pit stop. Folks, as they say, it's as good as it gets. So that really wraps up our coverage of tonight's broadcast. Join David and also Chris Honeyball from Grid Finder, who will be joining David in the commentary box for the final round in just a week's time. Titles still up for grabs. as the Mountain, the iconic Bathurst circuit in New South Wales, Australia, sees us crown our Season 4 IMB World Series League GT3 champions. You don't want to miss it. Until next time, good night.